It was one of those scenes where you had to fight the urge to vomit. Her head was twisted all the way around like an owl. You could see the skin of her neck being stretched to its limit. Any further and it'd rip. Her legs were in positions they shouldn't have been, most notably her left, which was resting next to her head. Her right was standing up straight, and you could see her knee bone poking out. And then there were her hands. 3 fingers were missing, each one crudely cut off. You could tell that the blade that did it was blunt, something not made for ripping flesh. Because it was snowing, the entire body was covered with purple and black spots, and the blood on her fingers had froze. "Found her an hour ago," said Hampton. "Found her just like she is now." "Any ideas on how this happened?" I replied. "Well, she probably fell from the fire exit. That doesn't explain the missing fingers. Or the twisted head," I said. I stared blankly at the body. Her eyes were still open and they drew you in, even if you didn't want to look at her. "We need you to help solving this one, Davis. This is something a detective should be doing, not a policeman." His words sounded distant as I looked into the dead woman's eyes. As far as I was concerned, it was just me and her. I could see her walk. I could hear her laugh. We were together like one entity. Nothing else mattered in the world. "Davis! Hey, Davis, wake up!" I blinked and the connection was gone. In front of me lay a torn-up body, too repulsive to even look at. I turned around and focused instead on Hampton, which proved to be no better. Hampton was short and fat, like a bowling ball. His shirt, tucked into his pants, was straining to keep all the weight in. One of the buttons couldn't fight it any longer and had disappeared. His hair was in the same trouble as his shirt. One by one his hair had been dying off, until now only the strongest stayed. "Yeah, right," I said, turning to look at the building. "The only thing that wasn't completely hideous." "I got it." "Good, we'll be here if you need any more information." "All right, then can I have some information?" "Well, I just got here. We don't have much. Just her name and the time of death." "Her name? Yeah, hold on a second." Hampton reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small notebook. He flipped through a few pages and stopped. "Suzanne Thatcher." "Got it," I said. "I'll look in the apartment. Nothing's been touched, right?" "Right. We haven't done anything but block this area off." I nodded in the general direction of Hampton and headed into the apartment. The lights were off. I stumbled through the dark trying to find the switch, and when I did, the lights still didn't come on. The blizzard must have killed the power. I walked back out and looked around for a police officer. One was leaning on a squad car drinking a cup of what I guessed was coffee. "Hey," I shouted at him. "You got a flashlight on you?" "What's it to you?" I held up my badge and he quickly pulled a miniature flashlight from his pocket. "Sorry about that," he said. Back in the apartment and with the flashlight, I managed to find my way to the stairs. It looked like she fell from the 4th floor to me, so I started climbing up. Along the way I noticed indentations in the wall. It looked like a fight had taken place on the stairs. The first thing that came to my mind was Suzanne Thatcher, but then I realized it could have been anybody at any time. The marks could have been years old. I reached the 4th floor and opened the first door I saw. Nothing. Just to be sure, I went over to the window and checked where I was. At the very edge I could see Hampton yelling at a cop, one of his favorite pastimes. Judging from the angle, I figured the real room was 3 doors down. The door was room number 236. The numbers were printed in large golden letters, but the 6 was hanging down. Obviously it was not new. The door handle was faded from being used so much, and you could tell by the wall that it had been slammed open a few times. All in all, it looked like all the other doors. The inside was different. Window curtains were torn off, laying in shards. The bed mattress was a good 2 feet off of its regular position. Tables were upturned, and the objects that were used to lay on them were either shattered or split. It was definitely the room I was looking for. I stepped over a broken lamp, the cord still plugged into the wall, and around a pile of dirty clothes. Halfway across the room I felt a cold breeze coming from the window. Snow was drifting inside, evaporating as it hit the floor. Looking down from the window, I saw a perfect bird's-eye view of Suzanne Thatcher's body. From up where I was, her body looked oddly beautiful, as if she was a piece of art. She didn't resemble a human. Instead, she looked like a daring red splash on the white snowy ground. All I could think about was how beautiful this was and how I wanted to preserve it. But no, it was a murder. Somebody brutally killed another life. I shook my head as if that could get rid of all the thoughts I was having, and tried to focus on the task at hand. I looked around the window edges to see if any cloth might have ripped off. No such luck. I looked back down at the body and realized something. I couldn't do it. I couldn't take this case. Something was wrong with it, and something was wrong with me. Suddenly, the air in the room felt heavy. I was suffocating. Gasping for breath, I ran out of the room 236 and out of the apartment. But the heavy air followed me. I ran towards my car, only to be caught by Hampton. "Hey, buddy, you get anything?" I glanced at him but did not stop running. Hampton was obviously confused at what I was doing because he didn't try to stop me. I busted into my car and drove as fast as I could to my home. Well, I hope you all enjoyed Bloody Flowers Part 2 by random name 158. If you like this video, please click the yellow button up there on the right of the video that says subscribe. That would really help me out a lot. And please stay tuned for Part 3 of Bloody Flowers.